Oh, no, it isn't. Look at that. It's a little...
Oh my goodness.
Lock plate?
A keyhole. I mean, we're looking for treasure chests. That clearly was an embossed keyhole.
At exactly 3:17 a.m., a sensor buried deep beneath Oak Island transmitted a signal that should not have been possible. It wasn't metal, it wasn't wood, it wasn't gold. It was something else entirely. For more than 200 years, people have been asking the wrong question about Oak Island. They kept asking what was buried there, but the real mystery has always been why it was hidden with such precision, and why it appeared to be designed so it could never be recovered. Tonight, we're not revisiting the familiar theories you've already heard, because what was discovered just an hour ago doesn't point to pirates, treasure hunters, or even secret societies. It points to a warning. A structure buried so deep that modern technology was never meant to reach it. A pattern that only became visible when data from the last 6 failed excavations was combined. And one final detail that historians long avoided because it challenges a fundamental assumption we all make about history itself. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Oak Island didn't just trap treasure hunters, it tested them. Subscribe now because this story only gets more unbelievable. Let's begin where the mystery truly starts. The moment of truth. The team's data was practically screaming. Water samples taken from the nearby garden shaft revealed unthinkable concentrations of gold. Not mere traces, but clear evidence of a massive deposit close by. The prevailing theory was that a tunnel connected the garden shaft to a central vault. The team gathered around a massive orange X painted on the ground, marking the culmination of years of research and effort. Marty Lagina, ever practical, gave a simple order: bring in the rig. The enormous drill began its slow descent, grinding through layer after layer of dense Nova Scotian clay and sediment. This wasn't just another dig. 9 massive steel-cased shafts had already been sunk in an attempt to verify centuries-old legends surrounding the money pit. The atmosphere was electric. Everyone on site knew this was different. This was a chance to make history. As the drill passed 80 feet, the tension became almost unbearable. At 90 feet, a sudden, violent screech tore through the machinery. Mike, a veteran drill operator, felt the drill rods suddenly lurch forward. They had broken through something. He pulled back and took measurements. The rods had dropped 1.5 feet into open space. A void. Oak Island historian Charles Barkhouse immediately contacted Rick and Marty Lagina. A void at this exact depth, in this precise location, was no coincidence. It perfectly matched data from 2 previous boreholes. They had just struck the roof of the tunnel they'd been searching for. What many failed to fully grasp in that moment was what this implied. A stable, man-made tunnel had existed for centuries, nearly 95 feet below the surface, strong enough to withstand the immense pressure of earth and seawater above it. This was no crude pirate hideout. This was sophisticated engineering, the work of master builders. Marty's next instruction was immediate. Get me some core. Minutes stretched endlessly as a casing tube was lowered into the darkness. When it was finally pulled back up, everyone held their breath. The core wasn't just mud and stone. Embedded within it were thick pieces of ancient wood, dark, waterlogged, and unmistakably old. This was the first jaw-dropping revelation. Wood at this depth, still intact, could only mean one thing: a sealed, deliberately constructed structure. A geologist quickly secured the sample, but it was the next core, taken from 97 feet, that changed everything. As the team split it open, they found not only wood, but something else trapped within the clay. A fragment of treated leather, resembling a book cover, along with what appeared to be parchment. Damaged but undeniable. This wasn't a treasure chest. It was something far more significant. The team realized they were standing on the edge of a true breakthrough. The real treasure wasn't just gold. It was the story behind it. The void had been found. Now the question was, what secrets it held? Back at the Oak Island Interpretive Center, the atmosphere felt more like a hospital waiting room than a research facility. The team stood close together in tense silence as archaeometallurgist Emma Culligan prepared the samples. This was the moment that could finally justify 2 centuries of obsession, hardship, and sacrifice. The wood sample alone was extraordinary, dark, saturated, preserved by ancient water. But when Emma placed it under the X-ray fluorescence spectrometer, the results were shocking. The display lit up with readings that made her gasp. Gold concentrations hundreds of times higher than any previously recorded sample from Oak Island. There was no doubt the wood had been in long-term, direct contact with a massive source of gold. Yet the most important answer lay within the fragile strip of parchment. Its very survival defied explanation. After hours of meticulous cleaning and magnified examination, faint symbols began to emerge from the fibers. They weren't a language anyone on the team recognized, but Rick Lagina, trusting the instincts he had relied on for years, knew exactly where to turn. High-resolution images were immediately sent to a network of specialized European researchers who had long been helping investigate potential links to the Knights Templar. The response came within an hour, and it was staggering. A leading cryptographer at the Sorbonne confirmed that the symbols were a rare cryptographic system used exclusively by high-ranking members of the Order of Christ, the Portuguese successors to the Knights Templar. This was the very group believed to have escaped Europe with the Templars' legendary treasure during the brutal Inquisition of the early 1500s. The truth was even more astonishing. This wasn't a random note or a warning. Researchers identified it as a ledger entry, an inventory of a sacred cache. The symbols listed specific contents: 32 bars of gold, 5 chests of holy relics, and a chillingly precise reference to an item described only as the head of John. This was the undeniable proof, the final smoking gun they had been chasing for decades. What lay hidden on Oak Island was never just wealth. These were the legendary artifacts that once fueled the power of the Knights Templar themselves. In an instant, every strange and seemingly unrelated clue on the island snapped into focus. Nolan's Cross, the massive boulder formation, was not a crude navigational marker as once believed. It was an advanced astronomical map, precisely aligned with key constellations used for transatlantic navigation in the 1500s. It likely marked the exact moment the depository was sealed. The stone road buried in the swamp, built using a rare Portuguese engineering method identical to roads found at known Templar strongholds in the Azores, was no longer a mystery. It was a purpose-built causeway. And Fred Nolan, the surveyor who dedicated his life to mapping Oak Island, had been right all along. He always believed the swamp was man-made. Now it was clear it wasn't merely hiding something. The swamp was the hiding mechanism. A massive water-filled capstone concealing an enormous structure beneath, possibly even a submerged dry dock for the very ship that delivered the treasure. Even the strange double-layered stone wall on Lot 26, dated between the late 1400s and early 1600s, finally made sense. Constructed in a distinctive Portuguese style, it was never a farmer's wall. It was a defensive fortification, the outer perimeter of a hidden, permanent settlement. What many failed to realize was that the treasure wasn't simply dropped on Oak Island for a quick escape. This was the construction of an entirely new secret headquarters. The wells located at opposite ends of the island, built from the same rare non-local stone, were never meant to support a handful of depositors. They were designed for a community, a colony of guardians tasked with protecting something far greater. With this understanding, the true purpose of the money pit became unsettlingly clear. It was never a traditional vault. It was a masterfully engineered decoy and a deep earth repository built using technology that feels almost otherworldly. The infamous flood tunnels weren't just traps to deter thieves. They functioned as a self-regulating hydraulic preservation system, harnessing the immense power of Atlantic tides to maintain stable temperature and humidity. Perfect conditions for protecting priceless ancient relics embedded within gold. The 32 gold bars listed in the ledger were never the treasure itself. They were seed money, an operational fund used to finance the mission and establish a new power base in the New World. This wasn't pirate loot. It was the hidden archive of the most powerful and secretive order in history, containing relics capable of reshaping religion and rewriting human civilization. The hunt, at last, appeared complete. The who and the what had been answered. But one question remained. Could they actually reach it? Oak Island had been unmasked, so the mystery seemed solved. But what does that really mean? Many watching are likely asking the obvious question. If the mystery is solved, where is the treasure? And that is the real challenge. Solving the mystery and recovering the treasure are two very different things. The discovery of the Templar ledger in the void, nearly 100 feet underground, finally answered Oak Island's greatest unanswered questions. We now know with confidence that it was the Order of Christ, the Portuguese successors to the Knights Templar, who arrived here in the 1500s. We know they brought vast quantities of gold, but more importantly, sacred religious relics of world-altering significance. And we now understand that the money pit is not just a hole. It is a brilliantly engineered deep earth depository, but appearances can be deceiving. The team has not yet reached the main vault. That void was likely an antechamber, a deliberately placed buffer designed to confuse, delay, and exhaust anyone who found it. Based on seismic data combined with cryptic clues from the ledger, the true vault likely lies far deeper, somewhere between 150 and 180 feet below the surface. The ledger unlocks the history, but the physical locks of the vault still remain. The team must now completely rethink their approach. They are no longer treasure hunters. They are preparing for an archaeological recovery so significant it would make Tutankhamun's tomb look like a time capsule. The challenge now is bypassing the legendary flood tunnels and entering the final chamber without destroying what has been preserved for centuries. This is where once dismissed theories suddenly seem plausible. What if the money pit isn't a vault at all, but a keyhole? Some geologists have long argued that Oak Island is a natural geological anomaly, a salt dome riddled with deep caverns. What if the Templars didn't construct a vault from scratch, but instead adapted an existing underground cave system, transforming the entire island into a natural fortress? In that case, the money pit would be the only man-made entrance, a single, carefully engineered gateway into a vast subterranean labyrinth. The ledger mentioned 5 chests of relics. That alone is astonishing. But the true shock lies in one specific reference: the head of John. For centuries, fringe historians have claimed the Templars secretly venerated the head of John the Baptist. Possession of such a relic would have granted enormous religious and political power. But what if the remaining chests hold something even more legendary? The Ark of the Covenant, the Holy Grail. These are the very objects the Templars were accused of uncovering beneath Solomon's temple, the source of their wealth, influence, and feared knowledge. The implications are staggering, and the story grows even stranger. Some theorists now believe Nolan's Cross was not just a navigational or astronomical marker, but part of an energy grid. They argue that the precise placement of the stones, combined with the island's unusual geology and constant tidal movement through the flood tunnels, could generate a form of geothermal or petroelectric energy. Why? Possibly to power an advanced preservation system, or even as a deterrent. A low-frequency vibration designed to cause disorientation, unease, and fear in anyone who comes too close. Could this explain Oak Island's infamous sense of dread, unexplained illnesses, and mysterious lights? It sounds like science fiction, but the Templars were long believed to possess knowledge far ahead of their time, allegedly inherited from ancient Egypt and Jerusalem. This revelation also reframes the old legends. The story of Captain Kidd's treasure was almost certainly a cover, a convenient explanation for strange activity on the island. And the so-called curse, that 7 must die before the treasure is revealed, was likely no superstition at all. It may have been one of the Templars' greatest weapons, a carefully crafted piece of psychological warfare designed to protect their secret long after they were gone. The number 7 carries profound significance in Templar and Masonic tradition. By wrapping it in fear and superstition, they ensured that only the most determined, or the most reckless, would dare to continue the search. It's even possible that the so-called curse isn't supernatural at all. What if it's actually a series of highly sophisticated yet undiscovered traps, pressure triggers, chemical mechanisms, or acoustic devices designed to cause collapses that, over the centuries, were mistaken for tragic accidents? Could there be a crucial detail we've overlooked? Could all of this have been created overnight? Absolutely not. The solution we see today is the result of more than 200 years of failures, sacrifices, and persistence. Every life lost, every dollar spent, every dream shattered on that island contributed to the puzzle. The original diggers in 1795, the Restall family, Robert Dunfield, Dan Blankenship, all of them added vital pieces to the story. But it was the Lagina brothers, armed with modern technology, who finally connected the dots. Advanced sonar mapping of the underground tunnels, water testing that revealed gold, and heavy machinery capable of reaching the target zone allowed centuries of efforts to coalesce into one clear picture. They now hold the ultimate treasure map, not just a sketch on paper, but a verified inventory of what lies hidden in the darkness. The hunt for the Oak Island treasure, in terms of discovery, is over, but the recovery has only just begun. The mystery is solved, yet a new chapter has opened. Will unearthing these sacred relics rewrite history? Or are they treasures humanity was never meant to possess? Please subscribe to the TimeFold channel and don't forget to like.